Hey there, YouTube friends, maskedbandit here. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today. I always do appreciate it. And welcome to the first of a small mini-series where we explore in depth the animals of the Australian DLC pack. We are actually in the Outback map that came with this DLC. And every animal that we're going to be creating habitats for is going to be in this map. And first up on the list today is the koala. I don't know why I chose the koala first, just did. And if you're new to my channel, what we're going to do is we're going to be doing a step-by-step process where you will see certain points in the building rather than a time lapse. And I will go into detail about the choices I've made and what I've done and all that stuff. So if you are new here, please do hit the subscribe button so you can join us on our Planet Zoo adventure. And be sure to check out the other things on the channel, Planet Coaster, and other creative type things. I am a creative person at heart. I play lots of games in a creative way, including Dungeons and Dragons. We have some things to do with that on the channel, but you're here for Planet Zoo, so let's get right into it and let's talk about koalas. It was really difficult finding good pictures and reference for koala habitats. So I kind of did quite a bit of research and realized that I wasn't getting the results I was looking for. So in the end, I kind of made it up. But we're going to just see what that means and what the habitat looks like at the end. And hopefully you are as pleased with it as I will be at the end. So let's get right into it and start with our koala habitat. So the first step when designing a habitat for me is to always have a plan, as silly as that sounds. I had to think about what I wanted to do, and I believe it's the San Diego Zoo redid their koala habitat, and that is where a majority of the influence comes from. And one of the things I really enjoyed is they had what appeared to be a raised walkway overlooking the koalas, and that's kind of what we're going for here. I also threw down grass just because this desert thing didn't seem to jive for koalas. It's going to change, but anyway, rather than dig out the ground, I guess I decided to make everything around it a little bit taller. But you can see here's the basic idea of this habitat. It's going to be a little walkthrough area, little trail where you're going to walk through and you're going to see the koalas over here on this side. And at this point, I'm not quite sure if I want the koalas to be able to access both sides of the path. I considered adding some climbing structures across the path. That felt like a major headache and a logistics nightmare though, so I kind of didn't do that. But I did decide to create, I did decide to create some custom quote tree sculptures. One of the things that a lot the few pictures I did find online showed man-made covers, man-made climbing structures for koalas. Yes, they in nature love eucalyptus trees, and I swear to God, I have a memory of seeing koalas in a zoo somewhere. I don't remember where, but they were indoors, and I believe they were hanging out in, I assumed it was eucalyptus trees. Maybe it was just stuff like this with eucalyptus hanging. Nonetheless, I took advantage of some of the new Australian pieces here. These are new pieces, these logs and these roof covers, which are gorgeous. I really love these covers. I decided to make my own custom kind of tree sculpture that theoretically the koalas could climb. And I started attaching some climbing vines to it. If you're having struggles with getting your arboreal animals to climb, I encourage you to check out my tutorial on how to better make your animals use the climbing structures, and there will be a link for that up above in the card, hopefully right now. But anyway, I did plop down just to see what they look like, some of these eucalyptus feeders, which are super cool. This is probably what I saw IRL at the zoo, and I assume the eucalyptus leaves go in there and the koala climbs up. So you can see the barest of bones here. We've got the ghost gum tree working here. The bare bones of this exhibit. This is the starting point, and it can only go up from here. So yeah, onward we go. So at this point, it made sense for me to get the koalas in there, see what kind of space they needed, see how they looked in the exhibit. For me, a lot of it is the look of it, more so than the in-game stats, because I personally like to play. I'm a sandbox player. I like to I think of these games as like Legos. And I usually turn welfare off, so for me it's not about what the game considers to be realistic, it's all about how it looks and how it feels. Like a lot of times the space requirements are way larger than what a zoo would reasonably provide. So not to be, but I try to make it look right more than it actually functions in game. Nonetheless, we've added some more tree structures, and you can see now we've got some climbing rigs going on here, and the koalas are actually using them. I've got some koalas. There they are. Like, look at that. They've got this constant little grin on their face, and it's just too dang cute. It's too adorable. The problem we're having, as with all the arboreal animals in Planet Zoo, is they spend, to me, far too much time on the ground. In real life, I don't think a koala comes down to the ground for much of anything. Like most of their lives are spent in the trees, and it is kind of a bummer that they do spend as much time on the ground as they do. And I know that's just one of the things that Planet Zoo has. I know that orangutans spend too much time on the ground, and the lemurs, but it is what it is at this point, so we're going to just try and get the game to do the animals right. So I'm really happy with this here, this little sitting area. Unfortunately, they do not come up here. The problem is, if there's no reason for a koala to come all the way up here, they're not going to. And unfortunately, this platform is not large enough for the game to consider it traversable area. So really this does nothing, this enrichment item, because technically all these platforms are currently climbing routes, so more so than they are actual area. So if we had extended this more, it would have turned blue. I can show you here. Like if I click on a little koala, not that guy, and I click there. All right, you can see here we don't have any blue here. So this means that this is only a climbing area, not a traversable area. The blue is traversable. I don't want to make it any bigger though, because if I make it bigger, it's not going to look good. It's going to look too big for this little structure. So that's the balancing game that I often have to deal with, is what looks right and what functions. And for me, as a sandbox player, I am always going to pick what looks right over the actual in-game functionality. So yeah, I know that koalas are not actually going to come up here, and I guess I'm okay with that. It's a bit of a bummer, but whatever. Threw more of these eucalyptus feeders in. I love the way they look. They look real and yet artificial at the same time, which is pretty cool. Kind of playing around with what the barriers of the habitat are going to be. All of this is temporary. If you've watched any of my previous exhibit builds, you know that I like to just throw down some borders to get the animals in there, and then I start designing the habitat around them. But you can see we're going to go for this Eucalyptus Forest look, which is going to look really, really cool. So yeah, at this point, it's still kind of basic. I'm working on some rock work over here to make it look artificial. Like, I want this to look like it was kind of stamped out, and I want you to see some repeated pattern on it. To me, that's one of those super realistic details. If you can make your rocks look fake, it looks like a realistic zoo. Like, how crazy is that? But that is the case. Like, a lot of times it's just a pattern stamped on the rocks. So, but overall, I'm pretty pleased with the direction it's headed in, and yeah. So let's see where we go from here. Some sizable changes at this point. We're starting to narrow our focus in and get a better idea of what we actually want. As far as what's going on in the actual habitat, I added some of these little cement ideas, these cement like bases here, pillars, there we go, to make it look like these are artificially, concrete poured into the ground so that they don't fall over or anything like that. But more importantly here, we're starting to think about the guest experience, and we are making this an actual like cliff. What I decided to do is to use these new red desert rocks, and we're going to go all along the backside here to create this little lip here, this edge, this cliffside, and we're going to use the rocks to further make this feel like a man-made rocks by putting these planter areas in, which I think is really going to help make it feel like a realistic zoo habitat. Extended the paths here a little bit to give a little bit more breathing room. I figured if this is a path here, at some point you're going to want to be able to bypass all the people staring at the koalas. Using some new roof pieces here. Not sure if this is going to stick around or not. Thinking about where the education stuff is going to go. Thinking about what kind of views you're going to be getting. All that stuff. Still haven't finalized the barriers of this habitat. But you can see now the path has shrunk a little bit. It was a little long. I made it a little more even with... I made it a little bit smaller as far as the raised part goes. I think that's a little bit better. Since the only thing on this particular trail are koalas, it doesn't make much sense to me to have a really long path here. Like you get your couple of really good viewpoints of the koalas and then you're on your way. Little thing here, little sign, little info board with koalas. Just taking the new in-game piece here and throwing down some art shapes and some switches to make it look like there's some writing here. Letting you learn about koalas and their habits and all that stuff. So yeah, it's starting to come together. We still have a lot of work to do though. We have to finish dressing up this area. We have to finalize the borders of the habitat, and we will need to deal with a backstage, back of house, night house kind of thing for these guys, and we're going to take full advantage of the new pieces in the DLC for that. So things are progressing nicely here. We have our entire back wall put in. Not all the foliage and detail is in yet, but this is a pretty obvious do not climb area here. I'm leaving recesses here where we can put some mulch in to make some planters. You can see right here there will be one, right here there will be one. And then it's going to empty out into this house. Now, theoretically, there's no reason that we couldn't have other Australian animals. Maybe the wombats, since they're nocturnal. I know we don't have wombats, I know. But if we did, they would be... they would be in here. All the insects and lizards that are, such a big deal in Australia, all those crazy, huge, poisonous animals that live in Australia, they'd probably live in here. I know the Brookfield Zoo does something like this, where the majority of the Australia area is a house where you go inside and you explore all the lizards and all the reptiles and all the insects first. Then you go and you see the wallabies, and then it shunts you out into the kangaroo habitat. So it could be something kind of like that, where you see the kangaroos and then you go explore the rest of Australia. Or it could all just be staffed. I really don't know quite what the deal is, but I do like the multi-layers here. How it's this large building, and theoretically there's no reason the koalas can't come in here for their night house. In fact, that's what this door was originally supposed to be, is the access to the koalas for the night house. But I end up removing it at the end. Not a big fan of it, but just a very, very simple here. Basic interior. I don't anticipate anybody really going in here to check things out. It's quite a mess if you were to actually go in there, but using this cute little koala symbol, koala piece here, and trying to dress up the edge here, this hard edge of the habitat. One of the things I did notice in a couple of the reference images of the San Diego Zoo is they did have the mesh fence, and we're going to go ahead and put the no climb barriers on there. To kind of make it look finalized, and we'll add some rocks in here. I get the general impression that koalas are fairly lazy, and if they're not in a eucalyptus tree, then there's something wrong. So I really don't see a reason why we should be too terribly careful. Obviously take precautions. We don't want any animals climbing out, but yeah. And you can see here, I intentionally made this kind of samey, where again, it looks like they just stamped a pattern out. That's really what I was hoping to achieve. It's intentional. I swear I'm not just bad at the game. That's the hardest part when you're dealing with stuff like this, is trying to make something that looks simple and mundane, but not look like you're bad at the game. But yeah, I think it looks okay. And once it's all done, it's going to look even better. I'm not too sure about this roof. I don't think it's going to stick around. We're going to now, in the final update, I think there's one more update after this. You'll see it as I intend it to be completed with a whole bunch of foliage back here. And just dressing the whole area up. At this point, the actual... he's playing his little chimes. That's so cool. At this point, the koala portion of the habitat is pretty much done. It's all the stuff around it. But I just... Oh. You know, I have to say, it's been a while since I played some Planet Zoo. And I had forgotten just how beautiful this game is. So let's see what the final update brings us for this koala habitat. And I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome you to Koala Cove. This little area now has a name. I made a really quick and dirty custom sign with some custom letters using some of the Australian pieces. Really happy. As far as for the like 5 minutes I put into this, I'm really happy with how it came out. We're using some of them new scenery pieces, the little color dots and triangles. I really love those. I can't wait to use those in full. But yeah, we named this little area Koala Cove. I did consider naming it Koala Cove with a K, but I thought that'd be a little too on the nose. Nonetheless, if this was real life, this path probably wouldn't go back this way. It would probably be a staff path at this point. And this is probably part of a bigger Australian exhibit. But Koala Cove, I mean, I think it's cute. So let's take a walk through Koala Cove here. I'm going to go real slow so you can see kind of how it unfolds on the guests. We have these little Australian chairs here. And I know that the rocks are in the way, but I don't really mind that. I think it looks kind of cool. We do have peeps in here. Just to show you how it looks with peeps in it, we've got these awesome, these are in-game, covers, path covers, and I did put some music in. Hopefully you all can hear that, because the Australian music is great in this title. Love the Australian music that comes with the DLC. So let's see, can we find it? Oh, there's a koala back there. And it is actually really hard to see these guys. Oh, there's one back there. I do enjoy that, though. Like, it feels better. And then there's a couple on the ground, even though there shouldn't be. But whatever. I do enjoy that it's kind of a hunt for them. And they do use a good chunk. I have seen koalas on the platform right here in front of us. A lot of times, though, they do hang out in the back, which I'm okay with. I mean, I want to give the animals a place to relax outside of the public eye. As we walk through here, we have our education area here. We have our education posters. I love these. I really wish we could get some new ones. I don't think there have been any additions to these since the base game. Part of, for me, the DLC would be great to get some more educational posters here. I think that'd be great if we could get a couple specific. Like, for me, the climate change one would be great, but if you had, like, a picture of the Great Barrier Reef, one of the big problems with climate change is it's destroying the Great Barrier Reef. So if we could have some DLC specific education boards, that'd be fantastic. But in a really sobering, depressing kind of way, I guess it'd be fantastic. But got the new trash bins here and some more koala signs. I don't know why I'm having a hard time walking, but you can see here I really enjoy this. It's just a little pit for the koalas, and most of the time they're in the trees, or at least they should be. There goes one running on the ground. Whatever. They're cute. I'm happy. There's a baby in here somewhere. I can't find it. But I would love to explore this. And then as you exit the area here, maybe you could go in, and then of course the path would turn and you'd be on your way. But you can see all these are all just eucalyptus trees. Wanted to really take advantage of those and show everyone what those look like. We've got the ghost gum, and we have, I believe we have some rainbow eucalyptus, which I think was part of the free update. And then we also have the other strip something eucalyptus tree. So I tried to put all of them in there just so you could get a look for them. I don't think they're all the same climate, but whatever. So let's take a look here at the overall view. It's very, very green, which I enjoy. I mean, these animals live in eucalyptus forests, so it should feel like a eucalyptus forest. I'm very, very pleased with how this turned out. We have a little area here. If people needed to get animals in and out, they totally could. Otherwise, they have their little access here, and the koalas are just hanging out in their little koala pit. And that's about it for this episode. This is the first animal that we're going to create a habitat for. I do plan to make habitats for each animal in the DLC. And I actually have something special in mind for the new lizard, the blue-tongued skink. Is that what it's called? I have something special in mind for that little guy. So I'm going to riff on what we have here at the Houston Zoo for him. Or her, I guess it depends. So, but let me see if I can find a good picture of a koala for us to end our episode. Let's go. They don't actually sit like that in the trees, but hey, why not? Oh, let's go right here. Here, we'll go with this guy. Oh, look, he's going on the platform, just like I said. All right, guys. So that's going to do it for this koala habitat. If you'd like this habitat, he disappeared. Where'd he go? He just disappeared. Oh, goodness. If you'd like this habitat, I guess I could bundle it up. I could try to blueprint it, and you could use it in your parks. I've never done that before. I don't know quite how it works. But if you're interested, let me know in the comments below. And if I get enough people that have interest, I will be more than happy to throw this on the workshop for you. Of course, you'll need the Australian DLC to get this to work, as well as, I think, some other DLCs. I'll double check. But nonetheless, that is going to do it for us today. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please hit the like button. Consider subscribing. And with that being said, have yourself a great day, great night, great whatever. And I will see all of you for the next Planet Zoo video. Take care, everyone, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.